Bungie gave us their first update of 2021 last week, and one of the subjects they touched on was reissuing weapons in Season 13. We got a few weapons and armour sets coming back to us next season, which looks to make the Moon and the Dreaming City much more relevant again. The initial feedback from the community has been a mixed bag, and today I'm going to go through the detail of the update from Bungie, followed by some of my thoughts on reissuing weapons, and then I want to put out a call to get your thoughts and your feedback on the issue too. So before I get into the video, I'd like to get your feedback on the state of Destiny 2 at the moment regarding weapons and the whole process of reissuing too. So I'm going to go through the update from Bungie and then get into some thoughts of my own, but it'd be great to know a little bit more about what you think, and I'm sure there's a range of players out there from the more casual to the more hardcore players. So let's check out the update first and then let me know what you think of weapons, sunsetting and reissuing down there in the comments. What I'd like to do is revisit that a little bit later on, a few weeks down the line. So let's dive into the update from Bungie. So last Thursday they said, since the launch of Beyond Light we've been collecting what feels more like a metric ton of feedback on various Destiny systems. While we shared some plans related to rewards, DDoS protection on consoles, crossplay and transmog, we have some new details on rewards from two of our more recent destinations, the Moon and the Dreaming City. Reward areas lead Justin Dazit will be walking us through some of the changes in response to player feedback. So Justin went on to say last month, Assistant Game Director Joe Blackburn spoke about some of the changes we're going to make to gear in Season 13 in response to some feedback. Today we're going to briefly chat about what some of these changes are as they relate to our back catalogue of expansions and the reason behind them. First, let's review a list of what you'll see starting in Season 13. So we've got reissued Dreaming City, Reverie Dawn and Moon Dreambane armour. So these are going to drop with high stats when earned in the Shattered Throne or the Pit of Heresy. The final chest in Pit of Heresy will no longer drop a masterworked Dreambane armour piece, and instead the Dreambane armour piece that drops will have 7 armour energy and is guaranteed to drop with at least a plus 16 in 2 different stats and higher stats overall. And finally, the Dreambane class items will not drop from this chest. Then we've got reissued 4 weapons from the Dreaming City with new perk pools. So we've got Waking Vigil, Sleepless, Vouchsafe and Retold Tale coming back. And the Dreaming City weapons that drop in the Shattered Throne dungeon can roll with perks that are unavailable from drops from other reward sources. Then we've got reissued 4 weapons from the Moon with new perk pools. So we've got Premonition, that's Pit of Heresy only, Heretic, Blasphemer and Apostate, and the weapons that drop from the Pit of Heresy dungeon can roll with perks that are unavailable from drops from other reward sources. And then we've got expanding the Lost Sector Legend and Master rotation to 4 Moon Lost Sectors, and that includes K1 Logistics, K1 Communication, K1 Crew Quarters, and K1 Revelation. We're making these changes to help preserve the relevancy of the destinations, specifically some of the pinnacle endgame activities that still exist there. To get more specific about the actual experience, activities where reissues are acquired will heavily be weighted towards rewarding reissue gear over capped gear, though the exact weighting and mechanisms may differ. For example, in the Dreaming City, if you've already obtained an infusion cap weapon, it will not drop for you again. While not every gear source or legendary reward will be kept up to date for the entire lifetime, we do believe that there's high value in targeting some specific activity drops for continued relevancy to give you more options for where to spend time as you seek to improve your arsenal. Well, that is the update from Bungie, and before I get into my thoughts, I thought it'd be good to have a look at some of the reaction from around the communities. So just after this got posted, Gothalion said, "I honestly think they should reissue all gear, get rid of sunsetting and go back to the drawing board. I was in support of sunsetting at the beginning, but said there had to be as much new gear as there was gear leaving. IMO, reissuing is not new, time for a new solution." And then Glad said on the same day, "So thoughts, I feel like sunsetting isn't quite what we'd hoped for. The reintro of gear to make loot relevant seems off, and regrinding for the same stuff feels artificial. By the time you grind for something, it's gone. In the end, we just want exciting and new loot." So 2 very good points there from the community. So I do have some thoughts on reissued loot myself. I have kind of split it into pros and cons. So first of all, I want to have a look at the pros. And it's good that these destinations were of some relevance again, with the Moon and the Dreaming City having been relegated, unless you look at the recent Wrathborn hunts, which are about 50% on the Dreaming City. Now, it'd be good to go back to the dungeons. There's some great pieces of content there, but without reasons to go back, I find myself not doing them at all. And the Legend Lost Sectors come to the Moon is a good thing, and this is probably one of the most positive improvements in Beyond Light, the Legend and the Master Lost Sectors. And finally, Waking Vigil. I mean, this is just one of the best hand cannons in the game. Really happy to see that one coming back. So I did feel a little bit like I was scratching around for the pros. So next up I've got the cons. So not all the destination weapons are coming back. We've only got 4 from each. So we've got Waking Vigil, Apostate, Blasphemer. You know, they're all great weapons, but where's Twilight Oath? Where's my perfect Twilight Oath? I love that sniper, and it's not coming back. It's kind of disappointing. You know, the final chest in the Pit of Heresy is no longer going to drop a fully Masterwork Dreambane armour piece. I mean, Bungie, what are you doing? This seems like a really odd change to make. Reissuing weapons from D1, you know, that might be a little bit more acceptable, But when it's weapons from Forsaken and Shadowkeep, you know, that just does not seem like a very good idea. The memory of those weapons are still very fresh in the mind, as is going through my vault and deleting them, I might add. And, you know, we're being promised perks along the lines of, you know, can roll with perks that are unavailable from drops from other reward sources, but we don't know if these are new perks entirely, or are they just perks they can't currently roll with. If they're not new perks, then how much better are these perks going to be? Also, we can't go into the vault and just bring out our weapons and they're going to be kind of upgraded to new power cap. We have to regrind for the same weapons. So they're going to be at the current Season 13 level. And grinding out God Roll weapons now feels much less valuable given they have a set time limit. Why am I going to spend X number of hours when the gun is only going to exist for a few months? So I really want to know what you think about reissued weapons down there in the comments. What are your pros and what are the cons as well? There is a growing discontent among the community related to sunsetting, and it's going to be interesting to see what Bungie does. So many top players have quit. It does seem to be the PvP community with the highest profile casualties, like MTashed and Hush, leaving due to stasis and other things too. We definitely had a big problem with weapons like Mountaintop, Revoker, Recluse, Spare Rations and Mindbender's Ambition not too long ago. You know, these would have been the mainstay of a high percentage of loadouts in PvP, and we would also crutch on them in PvE because they were so strong. Sunsetting was one way of going about balancing out the sandbox, but it can't be going the way that Bungie thought it would. Sunsetting, in principle, sounds okay on paper, but only when you caveat it with a few details. And if weapons are going to be cycled out of the game, then we need those to be replaced with new and interesting weapons in the same amounts that have been cycled out. So we did have a few new weapons introduced this season, which includes the Europa set of weapons. You know, Arctic Haze is great, Hailing Confusion is great, Friction Fire from the Wrathborn hunts is great, and some of the raid weapons too. Although the Europa weapons seem pretty good, the most popular weapons this season have been reissues. The Steady Hand is a reissued weapon. Even Adored is pretty much a reissued Beloved. So reissuing old weapons like Destiny 1 or maybe even Year 1 from Destiny 2 might be okay, but where do you draw the line in terms of going back in the past? Forsaken and Shadowkeep weapons just seem too recent to reissue. Joe Blackburn did update us to say that they would be bolstering their teams with weapon designers and new staff on the team, but by the time they get hired and trained, is it going to be too late? Well, let me know what you think of weapons, sunsetting and reissuing down there in the comments. It'd be great to have this as an ongoing conversation, so share your thoughts on the current state of the game, and what I'll do is a follow-up video highlighting some of the best comments in the coming days and weeks. Well, that is it for this look at reissuing weapons, plus the growing discontent over sunsetting. And as always, thank you so much for watching. For more Destiny 2 content like this, hit that subscribe button down below and subscribe to This Week in Video Games. If you want to join the community, check out the Discord link in the description, or you can follow me on Twitter at TWIVG Podcast. If you enjoyed this video or found it useful, liking and sharing the video would really help me out. Otherwise, check out the other videos on the channel. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.